Aloha Nation, welcome back to my channel MBJ Lifestyle. My name is Rob, and today I'm gonna try to answer a question that I think most of us get asked, but I get asked a lot. And that is, what were the symptoms before my diagnosis, and how was I diagnosed? So hopefully this video won't be too long, but I'll try to make it as quick as possible. So basically I have to give a little background. So I did roadside assistance for 17 years. And the way I found out was, one day I was changing a tire on this guy's Audi. And usually, not to toot my own horn, but I think I was fairly good at it. So usually, I would squat down and I'd have my impact gun and take off all the lug nuts real quick. So I was doing it, and all of a sudden, I found myself looking up at the sky. Like, I didn't know when or how it happened. 1 minute I was up, the next minute I was down. So I hopped back up real quick because I was like, what is this? But I didn't think anything of it, so I finished changing the tire. And as time went on and the days went on, I found it happening more and more and more. And my balance was going a little bit off, which was really strange. So I went to the doctor, and my doctor referred me to ANT, they call him, ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I went there, and I even going into the building, I was walking like this, like a drunk person, right? So I got there and I was telling the doctor like what my symptoms were. And he's like, oh yeah, we get that all the time. Usually it's like some crystals in your ear, and we have a procedure where we like twist your head up in all different kind of directions, and it solves the issue. So I'm like, great. So we did a hearing test and a couple of other tests they had me do, and scheduled a day for this appointment to have the procedure done. He wasn't the one, however, doing the procedure. There was a specialist in his office that does the procedure. So I get there thinking, all right, all my problems are going to be solved. So I get there, the lady picks up my chart and she looks at it, and then she goes, I'm not doing this. Rocket. So now I'm getting aggravated, because here I am thinking I'm gonna be healed basically after this procedure, and this lady is telling me she's not doing it. So I'm like, why? What happened? Well, she's like, well, I'm looking at your chart and your hearing test, everything came back perfect. However, I worked with a neurologist for many years, and this seems like MS to me, which at the time I didn't even know what MS was. I'm like, what? So she said multiple sclerosis. So I'm like, okay, because I didn't know what it was. So I'm like, all right. So she said, I'm going to refer you to a neurologist. And I'm going to tell you, this all went down like, this is how, like, God had to do this, right? Because it was so flawless. And it was like, it's even trying to tell you the story now, I have to really think hard, because it's hard for me to remember everything that transpired, because it happened so fast and effortless. And anyway, so I got referred to this neurologist. I went there to see the guy, and the guy, within 5 minutes, he said, walk up there, walk back this way. He did a few things, and he goes, I can't be 100% sure, but I'm sure you have MS. So I'm like, what is this? This is like the second person telling me. So I'm like, all right, what is MS? And he started to kind of break down what it is and stuff like that. But he said, I can't be 100% sure until I do a spinal tap, which for us people with MS, we know what a spinal tap is, right? It's like the needle is like this big, and they inject it in your spinal area to extract. I'm gonna try to explain it the best way I know. So they extract some fluid from your spine, and they do a test on the fluid they get from the spine to determine, I think they call it the JC virus, to determine what your levels are. And depending on what your levels are, then that will kind of guide them as to what treatment or what medication that you could receive. So anyway, that's all right. Which at this point, I still didn't know how serious it was, right? So I was like, all right. So we scheduled the appointment for, which was like 2 days later, for this spinal tap. So I went home and I YouTubed the spinal tap process, and then I realized, like, wow. So anyway, I'm gonna show you how perfect God did this, right? So I get there to do this spinal tap, and all the videos I watch, everybody's lying on their side, and so they put me in this room with my entire rear end outside. So I get in this room, and there's like, I tell you no lie, like maybe like 8 doctors, and they're all in there talking about sports. And so I'm like, all right, I'll tell you what, I already know what's going to happen, what's going down, so we could kill the whole sports thing, and I guess whoever has to be here could stay, and everybody else, I know what's going down. So the nurse, I lie down, and then the doctor goes, oh no, we're going to do this sitting up. And he had a resident or intern or whatever they call him that was there with him. So the nurse comes in front, and they tell me to cross my arms like this, puts it in my lap, and then she puts her body weight down, because I guess some people get frantic when this thing goes down. And he has the intern. Listen to this. Now it's a very tricky procedure, right? He has the intern do it. So he stood over the guy, and he was like telling him what to do, right? So they numb my back, and they put the needle in, which I could feel everything, right? So I can only imagine if my back wasn't numb. So anyway, long story short, it was so perfect. It was one shot. I tell you, it was everything is just like, because when we were done, the nurse was talking to me, and she goes, the average doctor doesn't get it on the first shot. And this guy had an intern do it while he was sitting up versus lying down, one shot. So that went down. And they did their tests, and a couple of days later, the guy said, yeah, you have multiple sclerosis, and which at this time because I was still working, I was still changing tires and installing batteries and going around and like nothing, right? So I still wasn't really aware of how serious it could get, and that it was a progressive thing. And so the guy says, the neurologist, he says, all right, so based on your spinal tap results, you can get the most, which at the time was the most aggressive form of treatment, and it was called Tysabri, right? It was most aggressive form at that point, which it's an infusion every 4 weeks, right? You get it injected in your arm or wherever every 4 weeks. So I was like, all right. So I go in and I get my first infusion, and to be honest, with the first infusion, I couldn't really tell a difference, because like I said, at that point I was still working or doing my regular original work, because I don't do that work anymore, right? I got diagnosed in August of 2014. So this August, this month, makes 5 years since I got diagnosed. So that's how I got diagnosed. So the imbalance, the falling and stuff like that, that's when I knew there was an issue. We did the ENT, ear, nose, and throat doctor thing. That led to that nurse, or whatever she's called, referring me to this neurologist, which everything happened so fast. It's like if I were to try and tell you everything step by step, it might seem like I don't want to say, but it happened so fast, so flawlessly, like God, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it was just like 1, 2, 3, right? And now, like I said earlier, it's going to be 5 years. It has progressed. I don't do roadside assistance anymore. I stopped doing that maybe over a year ago. However, I do whatever it takes that's legal to survive and to help provide for my family and stuff like that. So that's my story as to how I got diagnosed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you. Alright, so for this vlog, the 2 Jamaican words that I'm going to talk about is, the first one is pon, which is really means on, O-N, but in Jamaica it's spelled, or in the lingo, it's pon. So you would add a P, like Peter, before it. So it's P-O-N, pon. And the second word is tech. T like Tom, E like Edward, K like kite, tech. So pon and tech. Pon means on, and tech means take. So I'll try to put it in a sentence for you. Like somebody would say, "Why you put your foot on that? Take it off, man." Which basically means, why did you put your foot on that? Take it off. So pon and tech. And going forward, I guess I'm going to try to start using these words and phrases in sentences, because it might be easier to grasp the way the word is used or the phrase is used if it's in a sentence. So pon and tech. So pon, on, or on, and tech, take. As usual, guys, if you like this vlog, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.